The Virginia candidate for Attorney General, Jay Jones, had text messages leaked that went viral over the weekend, wherein he called for and fantasized about the death of his political opponent, but also his political opponent's children. The media is covering the story, but in most of what I've seen, the full text message conversation was not released. And as you're about to see, it's even worse than you think. In the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the rise in political violence, this cannot be tolerated. I'm Zach Costello. All right, so the Virginia governor's race is heating up. And as you all know, I'm a Virginian, so I've got a dog in this fight. But this is a bellwether election for the country. If you don't remember, after Joe Biden won and was elected president in 2020, the Republican Glenn Youngkin won the governor's seat in Virginia and flipped it from blue to red in 2021. And the election flipping issue at the time was Democratic candidate Terry McAuliffe saying that parents needed to mind their own business and stay out of the school system on the heels of a young girl being raped by a boy pretending to be a girl in a Loudoun County public high school. The father of the young girl testified in front of the school board and was dragged out by police. McAuliffe also ran on mask mandates and the COVID vaccine requirement for school children. An election deciding issue in 2025 is political violence on the heels of Charlie Kirk being assassinated for his Christian America First values. We have the Democrat candidate for Attorney General in Virginia calling for this, and the candidate for governor, Abigail Spanberger, standing behind him.
Her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views.
We deserve an attorney general who will stand up for the people of Virginia.
Jones said, quote, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head.
Let your rage fuel you.
Jones doubled down, saying, quote, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes.
How can Virginians trust a man who said something so horrific, so callously?
Only when people feel pain personally do they move on politics.
So this man, Jay Jones, who on his X profile promotes his family and says that it's his political purpose to keep all families safe and free, said this, which has generally not been included in mainstream media, maybe because it's too vile and disgusting. But this is the full text message thread, which reads, so he's talking in response here to Todd and Jennifer Gilbert's children. Todd Gilbert was the Speaker of the House in Virginia, his political opponent. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. Then he goes on to say, I mean, do you think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes, there's the word, little fascists, fascist again. And this is what's not been covered, but is ridiculously despicable. If those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves, send them out awash in something. The guy responds there with Jay Jones, like, wow. And then he goes on to say, 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot, as you just saw in that first clip that I showed you. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in a crew with 2 of the worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. And then he goes on to say, LOL, okay. So he was hoping that a mother would experience the loss of her children and feel that pain personally to move on policy and what? Vote Democrat? They're breeding little fascists. And if they die before me, I'm going to go to their funerals to piss on their graves. But it's that LOL, though. It's that LOL that gets me. Politico got a statement from candidate for governor Abigail Spanberger, who said this. After learning of these comments, I spoke frankly with Jay about my disgust with what he had said and texted. She said, I made clear to Jay that he must take full responsibility for his words. What I have also made clear is that as a candidate and as the next governor of our Commonwealth, I will always condemn violent language in our politics. She is keeping Jay Jones on her ticket. So what exactly does take full responsibility for his words and condemning violent language actually mean? You see, in political land, it's all talk. They say things, they yap. Their words are not connected to action or results. For everyday normal Americans, like all of us, like take full responsibility means take action, means make a required change. Jay Jones gave a statement to Politico also and said this: "I'm sick to my stomach when I read those words," he said. "Certainly they're objectionable, they're abhorrent, they have no place in Virginia and no place in our country's discourse. Again, I am so deeply, deeply sorry." But he's the one that said those things, and he also has no plans to end his campaign, as Politico reports right here. "We're going to continue to move forward," he says. "This race has never been about me. It's always been about the people of Virginia and what they deserve out of their leaders and their attorney general." How low Jay Jones must think of the people of Virginia if he thinks that he is who we deserve as a leader. Current governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, was on with Fox and Friends this morning and highlighted something very important about this. Listen.
This is where these folks are. You know, we had Charlie Kirk assassinated, and so many folks celebrated in the far left. We've had two Democrats threaten to murder two of our delegates running for office in Virginia. And now Jay Jones comes out and says that he has 2 bullets for Todd Gilbert's head and wants to see his children die. I mean, this is unbelievable. And what's shocking also is that after calling for the normal apology, the Democrat candidates, Abigail Spanberger and the rest of them, were out campaigning this weekend like it was nothing. They have got to call for this guy to resign, step down, get out of this race in disgrace, because this is beyond disqualifying. I mean, they're asking people to vote for this guy to be the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Meanwhile, we have the best Attorney General, Jason Miyares, in the nation, and everyone in Virginia should step forward, rehire Jason Miyares, and demonstrate that Virginia stands for the values that not just hold our country together, but we reject all political violence, and we reject anyone that would call for violence on a child. It's unbelievable. Winsome Sears immediately came out and condemned this, and Abigail Spanberger gave the normal, oh, it was wrong, and then's back out campaigning with the Democrats calling for this guy to win. This is nuts.
This is the position for top cop in Virginia. Think about that. This person running for the top law enforcement position in Virginia called for the death of these children and family and fantasized about their mother grieving for them and pissing on their graves. But you know, the other side, the other candidate, Winsome Sears, she's an extremist for believing that girls shouldn't have to get changed in front of biological men in school locker rooms, and for threatening the freedom of women and their reproductive right to abortion. It's hard to believe that this is the world that we live in, where this is all okay, and half the country supports this behavior in 2025. How could anyone in good faith, like this is a good faith question, how could anyone with a reasonable conscience cast a vote for Jay Jones or Abigail Spanberger who allow this type of rhetoric in our country? I'm Zach Costello.